Welcome to Fox 54 News at 6. I'm Kenesha Dees. It's been 735 days since October 7th between Israel and Hamas began on October 7th of 2023. Today, phase one of the newest ceasefire agreement came to fruition, the release of all remaining Israeli hostages. Israel saw the 20 remaining alive hostages return home to their families today, along with 4 others who died in captivity. 24 other dead hostages are expected to be returned as part of the ceasefire. In exchange, around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners were freed from Israel. Fox 54's Gabe Glassman spoke with one local rabbi who has his eyes on the long road ahead.
Here in Huntsville, locals are keeping a very close eye on the events taking place in the Middle East on Monday. And one rabbi I spoke to says he's cautiously optimistic for the future. This following the first exchange taking place in Israel on Monday, seeing 20 living hostages returned home in exchange for around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Rabbi P.J. Schwartz with Temple B'nai Shalom in downtown Huntsville says it's the first time his congregation has taken a breath of fresh air in a long time.
I remain cautiously hopeful because with any deal or any agreement or any situation, things can easily change. I am hopeful that we are now seeing a possibility towards peace where Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side. I am hopeful that the grip that Hamas has had within the Middle East is loosened, if not even eradicated. I like to think that right now we are at the beginning of a journey rather than the final frontier, so to speak. So I'm very cautiously hopeful for what's next.
Rabbi Schwartz adds that the message now is to come back together as one. In Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
As part of the ceasefire agreement, Israeli military forces now have less than 24 hours to move back to a newly agreed upon border. We'll have more on this story tonight at 9. Here's a live look from Albertville. I would say a fantastic view. Don't see the sun setting in this frame, but we do see a beautiful crystal clear sky, no clouds in sight. I would imagine that the humidity is pretty low, probably expecting some cooler weather tonight. We'll find out from our Fox 54 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Jordan, how's the rest of this evening looking?
As a matter of fact, a lack of humidity does totally lead to some cooler air across the Tennessee Valley. And we saw a lot of that last night, early this morning. And we're going to see it to some extent tonight and then early tomorrow morning with the lack of humidity and the really nice clear sky transitioning into a cooler evening across the area. Beautiful evening out over the Parkway. We're just about 10 minutes away from sunset. Sun's going to set right around 6:12 or 6:13. Good news here as we look northbound on Memorial Parkway. The traffic does seem to be moving smoothly, and that's always a really good sign. Live look from the top of Montesano. Temperature sitting in the mid-70s, right around 75 degrees. Again, it's difficult to find much in the way of any cloud cover. Sun just about 10 minutes from going down beyond the horizon. Through the rest of the evening, 73 at 7, 68 at 8, 65 by 9, 64 degrees by the time we get to 10 p.m. Holding on to that clear sky through the rest of the evening. That's not going to change over the next couple of days because we're going to continue to maintain the lack of humidity. We drop into the low and mid-50s as we head into the overnight, but we'll do a really good job at warming up. Above average, as a matter of fact, as we head into your Tuesday. We'll discuss it in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Jordan. A man who escaped from a prison job site in Huntsville is once again back behind bars. 66-year-old Philip Deason was captured in Nashville today by the Metro Nashville Police Department. Deason escaped on September 30th while out on a work assignment here in the Rocket City. He's serving time for theft of property, which he was sentenced for back in 1999. A 25-year-old Tuscumbia man arrested Saturday night after officers say he was found in a car with a child. Littleville Department says officers responded around 11:45 p.m. to investigate a suspicious car on George Wallace Highway. They found this man, Keelan Morgan, in the car with a minor. Morgan was arrested and charged with sexual abuse and tampering with physical evidence, each carrying a $1,000 cash bond. A 17-year-old has been arrested after a shooting at Hilltop Terrace injured one person Friday. Huntsville police say officers responded Friday to the 2600 block of Hilltop Terrace. It's where they say they found a person suffering from a life-threatening gunshot wound. An investigation determined a 17-year-old fired the weapon. They were arrested and charged with assault. The victim still in the hospital and remains in critical condition. A tow truck driver a tow truck driver was injured Saturday night after being hit by a car while working along Memorial Parkway. According to Huntsville police, the tow truck driver was about to pull a car off the roadway when another car drove up on the bed of the wrecker, then came off and struck the driver. The driver of the tow truck was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, but is expected to be okay. If you do have any information, you're asked to call HPD. Two gates at Redstone Arsenal will have new hours beginning tomorrow. Gates 1 and 7 will close for inbound traffic at 1:30 p.m. After that, the gates will remain open for outbound traffic only. According to officials, commercial vehicles will need to use the far right lane of Gate 9 after 1 p.m. Redstone Arsenal says the new hours are due to effects from the government shutdown. The Priceville City Council set to decide in just a few minutes whether to reinstate Officer Gary Chapman to the police force or uphold his firing. Several people with the city of Priceville, including the mayor and chief of police, are recommending Chapman's termination. They say he followed suspect Archie Hale for too long, well into Hartselle, failing to assess the danger of a chase that ended in 1 death and 5 injuries. But Chapman's attorney told FOX54 over the phone earlier today that Chapman had the discretion to follow Hale because no supervisor was on duty. He alleges that Chapman did everything to standard that night in September.
You are to notify a supervisor who monitors their pursuit, and the supervisor may or may not call off the pursuit. In this instance, Gary notified the dispatcher to get in touch with a supervisor. None was on duty, so it was up to the pursuing vehicle, the number 1 officer there, to use his discretion on whether or not to continue the pursuit.
Morrow says they'll be arguing tonight that Chapman followed department policy during the entire chase, with the city council meeting starting at 6:30, or in just a few minutes we'll have more for you tonight at 9. If you live on Alpha Lane in Madison County, listen up. The Madison County Water Department is turning off your water tomorrow morning to help perform system improvements. The outage is scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. and will last until around 2 p.m. while crews work to upgrade the local water system. Officials say service will be restored as quickly as possible once the work is completed. Take a look at this. A Florida man behind bars after a traffic stop led to a drug search in Priceville. Priceville police say they stopped a car on I-65 this morning, and this is what they found. A search of the car uncovered several kinds of drug paraphernalia and U.S. currency, all suggesting involvement in the sale and transport of narcotics, police say. Stephen Ramsey was arrested and taken to the Morgan County Jail. He's charged with trafficking dangerous drugs, unlawful possession of marijuana, and unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia, among other charges. He's held on a $135,300 bond. The owners of a bar and grill shut down by court order are now asking for support ahead of their next hearing. 708 Bar and Grill was shut down by the city of Huntsville, with court records alleging the spot had been the site of criminal investigations and concerns. Documents say the owners claim they didn't have the proper chance to dispute the allegations. The case will be back in the courtroom Wednesday at 9 in the morning. But Malcolm Gopher, who owns the restaurant, says he made an appearance at the most recent city council meeting and saying he believes the business is being targeted unfairly.
Public nuisance? Who owns it? I want to know. Because if you can put the hammer down on me, I need you to put the hammer down on everybody. It ain't one hammer for me and another hammer for somebody else. It don't work like that. I thought we was in America, or as we spelling it with the KK and the K, because we're going to have to get real serious.
The owners are now at today's District 1 Town Hall. That is happening. If you still want to attend, it's being held at the Richard Showers Rec Center. The University of Alabama Huntsville announced today that President Charles Carr will retire in May of next year. Carr spent more than 30 years in higher education, including 26 years at the University of Alabama as Dean of the College of Engineering. Carr joined UAH as interim president in November of 2021 and was named president of the university in September of 2022. In a statement, Carr said, quote, "Serving as president of UAH has been one of the greatest honors of my life," end quote.
Columbus Day, we're back Italian.
For other people, that exact same Columbus is offensive.
Columbus Day, also recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day, has Americans split on how this holiday is observed, and we take a look at the history behind both. Back here in the Tennessee Valley, Huntsville residents in District 3, listen up. You have an opportunity to have a say in your community's future. Details ahead.